What's up, everybody? Leo Ravina here, otherwise known as Uncle Leo. Today I'm doing something a little different than I normally do. I'm going to be starting a restoration on this 1968, maybe 69 Wind and Sea stringerless 9.2. As you can see, it's pretty dinged up. The deck is pretty shot, but it's worth saving because it has this really cool original abstract on the bottom. I'm going to go through and check out some of the damage. Okay, so most people will look at this board and say, damn, it's pretty beat up. It's not worth restoring. But I see it and I'm like, no, I could do that. I could totally make that happen. So there's a few minor dings on the rails and on the bottom of the board. As far as the nose goes, it's pretty much gone. It's shot. It's pretty much going to have to be reconstructed. I plan on using Clark foam, which is closest to the original foam, or possibly is the original foam. It might be Walker foam as well, to rebuild the nose. Somebody at some point decided to slap a leash plug way up here. Looks like a 70s leash plug to me, but regardless, it doesn't belong there, and it's going to be really hard to fix. As far as the deck goes, I plan on removing the whole deck. A lot of restorations, I would say you can't do this on, but because the bottom of the board is an abstract and it's being covered up by a pin line, I think I could remove the deck, clean it up, and then hide it under the pin line. As far as the fin box goes, it does have the original fin box, but it has this green patch around it, which kind of scares me because I don't know what's underneath the green patch. But the box itself looks like it's intact and it should be able to work. Might just have to patch over it. But yeah, I think that's going to work. We're going to start by rough sanding the whole board. We're going to be removing the original pin line, RIP 60s pin line. It's really cool, but for the sake of the job, we have to get rid of it. Flip the board over, sanded the fin box with the resin panel that was on it. And it's pretty much what I expected it to be. It was an old repair, way older than I thought it was going to be, because you could tell the resin is way more faded on the outside of the patch. So it's been that way for a long time. I'm going to try to keep the fin box original, not put a new fin box in there, and just try to color match as much as I could to the original abstract. So now we're going to move on to sanding the bottom of the board. And then after that, we're going to flip the board back over and we're going to remove the entire deck. That's going to be a hell of a process, so stay tuned. Death tool. We'll call it death tool. I don't like it that much. It's so scary to use. I started cutting out the deck with this crazy Dremel tool that I bought on eBay. Took the safety off it, put this plate on it, modified the shit out of it. It was working really good until I got past the Volan patch and it started to burn a little bit. So I'm going to take the die grinder, go around the outside lap and try to thin the glass out a little bit before jumping back on this. So let's keep it rolling. Okay, so I just went around the board with the die grinder, and I think I could get away with getting the glass off without having to use sketchy Dremel tool. And that just really makes my day, because that thing's terrifying. So let's see if we can pull this up. All right, so we got the glass off. Gnarly Dremel side definitely came off cleaner than having to use the die grinder on this side, but I'm still pretty stoked. There was a Volan patch from here to here, and it was really on there. So trying to get it pulled up, I just couldn't. I didn't want to force it. So it tore a little bit here and here, but the whole thing is going to get blocked out and cleaned up in a couple steps from here. Next up, I'm going to start working on the nose and some of the small ding repairs going around the board. I started off by plugging the hole where the terrible leash plug was, because nobody wants that, and I can't just leave it a hole. I also chopped the rotted pieces of foam off the nose and glued on some Clark foam from this lovely donor blank right here. I did not take the giant cut out of the side, I just chopped off the bottom, so I'm not a crazy person. I don't know what this is from, but it can never be a surfboard again. And the last thing I did was go over all the small holes on the bottom and just open them up. So when I go to glass it, I could put small patches in and make them disappear. From there, we're gonna start reshaping the nose, shaping this little piece back in, and then scrubbing the deck and seeing how white we could get it. All right, so before I start reshaping the nose, I pulled the template off it before I glued the new pieces of foam on. And as you can see, it's not like a really good template because there's giant bumps and boops and all these terrible things in there. But I knew I have a template in here somewhere that would get pretty close to it. So what I did, I have this 10-6 template, and laying it over top, it's almost a perfect match. Another problem with this board is that it's stringerless. So aside from roughly making a mark on the nose before I cut it off or cut it into two pieces, I had to take a bunch of different measurements to try to realign where the stringer should be. There's a glue line in the split of the two pieces of foam, and it was actually a 1/4 inch off on one side after remeasuring it like 3 more times. So after all this work, it really sucked to have like the nose be off, like, you know, a 1/4 inch. That's the stuff. You only have one shot to do this, so I better measure it so I don't screw it up. But like, I mean, it ain't that bad. I can't screw it up that bad. I can screw it up. I could totally screw it up that bad. I've screwed it up that bad before. Real world surfboard problems. You're watching it right now. Well, you know, like there's glass here, there's foam here. It's driving me crazy. Just finished up reshaping the nose. I'm pretty pleased on the way it came out. One thing I did note, it was green Clark foam. And I'm not sure if anybody on here has ever shaped green Clark foam, but it's nothing like the new green foam that we use now. It was like hard as a brick. So for people that might be questioning why I was using a die grinder, it's a lot easier than using the sanding block for like a lot of digging. And it's so small, I don't want to use a power planer. Yeah, that came out nice. This little patch came out nice. Now we're going to move to scrubbing the deck, which is also super old, probably green Clark foam. All right, so got the whole board scrubbed down. She's no California Golden Surf Auction, but it's a hell of a lot cleaner than it was. You got to give it a little credit. It's kind of buried on the side of a road for who knows how many years. You can definitely still see some signs of water damage. That seeps pretty deep into the foam. Had to hit it a little harder where the volant patch was, and it tore the foam up. Still funny that you could see the silhouettes of the logos. It's like an inspiration to wear sunscreen. But yeah, pretty stoked on it. After this, we're going to be moving on to glassing. I did some things off camera, and some of it I'm not exactly proud of, but you know, you live and learn. The board's already looking a lot better than it did when I found it, so I can't feel that bad about it. First thing I did, I kept trying different techniques to fix where the leash cup was. I used expanding foam on it. I used compressed expanding foam on it. I used paint on it. I used spackle. I used a blend of foam and spackle, and I just couldn't for the life of me get it to blend in. But I think it's going to be all right. I think I came up with a creative solution for it. I also painted in the tail and nose patches to try to get it to blend in with the abstract. The next step I'm going to do on this is glass the board itself. board was originally glassed with a single layer of 10 and a 10 or 8 ounce volant patch. I don't have that, but I do have 7 ounce. So I'm going to do a 7 ounce inlay, 7 ounce patch, and then wrap it in 6. It should be pretty close to the same weight. I'm going to use some isophthalic resin. It's different than normal surfboard laminating resin. It's more period accurate. It'll also give the board itself more of that classic tinge that the Pinline gets. Here we are, nearing the end of the Wind and Sea surfboard restoration project. At this point, I probably have like 15 different mustaches, but great things take time, and especially when it comes to building surfboards and really with restorations, because you don't want to rush it. We're just going to go over really quick some things I did off camera. I rough sanded the board. I repaired and painted around the fin box and glossed it. Next, I'm going to pinline it and gloss the deck. First thing I did was go around the cut lap with a sanding block with 180 on it just to get the scratches a little bit finer. Then proceeded to tape the board off to do the pin line. It's a full resin pin line, pretty much period accurate. Tried to get it to the same width and thickness with the flares, nose and tail. After that, I taped off the bottom of the board and glossed the deck. It's much prettier. Okay, here we go again. Finally finished it, the Wind and Sea surfboard. It's been a couple months in the works, but I'm pretty pleased with how it came out, being that the board was pretty much destroyed. There's a couple little things that I wouldn't say I'm exactly thrilled about, but knowing what I knew then and what I know now, I'm willing to look past it because it still looks pretty nice. The last thing we did was gloss the board. I broke the bead a couple days ago, pretty much just with the razor blade on the rails, and then gave it a light polish just to shine it up a little bit. And I'm pretty stoked. It's pretty much period accurate to how they would have done it. So let's take a look at the bottom really quick. And gee whiz, good golly gosh, do those colors pop. Fuck. Hit it again. Here we go. Last time I got it. Oh, we're rolling. The problem is it's getting hot as hell. It's starting to burn. That's, yeah, lost it. Hiding stakes. Hell yeah. Yeah, fuck, I lost it. What did I do? It's been so long. Third time's the charm, so here we go. I'm feeling it. There. I think we'll be able to get the glass off without... Why is this so hard? All right, take 3. If it's not on center, it looks really stupid. I don't like that word. Lightly. Lightly would have been the right word. Try that again. Fuck, man, this is hard. Are we on? Big smile. Starting to look like Surfboard again. Is it good? Bad? Ugly? More smiles?